Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a review show special. Now, this is where I take a deep dive into a particular company, a particular product, a particular creator, and I give my opinion on one particular trick or a range of tricks through the same company. And today, I'm going to be talking about Penguin Magic, and specifically, I'm going to be talking about some of the tricks that they released on their Black Friday sale. Now, if you don't know, Penguin Magic for the last few years have always released a bunch of stuff around about Black Friday, and this year is no exception. They released 8 new tricks. In this video, I'm going to look at 4 of them, and then I'm going to look at the other 4 either in another video or on the Craig and Ryan review show. But these are the 4 that most people have been asking me to review. So I'm going to have a look at all 4 of them, and it's a very interesting range of tricks. Everybody knows that I'm a big fan of Penguin Magic. I think they pretty much do everything right in many different ways. Their tutorials are good. The people they have working there are exceptional. There's a lot to love about Penguin Magic. And we've got an interesting range of tricks to look at right now. So without further ado, let's start off with an absolute classic of magic that the guys at Penguin Magic have brought bang up to date. Let's start off with Blizzard. Okay, so the first trick we're going to be looking at is Blizzard, and Blizzard is by Dill. Now, I remember first watching Blizzard probably about 10, 15 years ago now, and just being completely and totally fooled. Like, I had absolutely no idea how it worked. Not only did I have no idea how it worked, I had no idea, like, a direction to go in. The whole thing made no sense to me. If you don't know what the effect is, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm going to show you a performance of me doing this, and once you've seen the performance, we'll talk about we'll talk about the whole trick and the pros and the cons. But first of all, let's have a look at the performance of Blizzard. We can do a trick with a pack of cards. You excited?
Yeah.
It's a card trick. Some people consider this to be the greatest card trick of all time.
I look forward to
I'll
it,
let
then.
you decide yourself whether it is the greatest card trick of all time or not.
Okay.
52 cards in a pack of cards. You're going to name any one of the 52 cards. Totally your choice.
King of Hearts.
King of Hearts. So I'm going to take out the King of Hearts and the other 3 kings as well. Okay? So we have the, let me grab it out here, King of Hearts, and
Pick the most awkward one.
you are a pain in the butt. Right, there we go. We've taken out the 4 kings. Now, what I would like you to do, my friend, is without looking at the faces, mix them up.
Okay.
So they're in a random order.
Okay.
Oh, notice how he's doing it under the table.
Don't trust him.
Never trust a magician when they pay too cheap for a living. And then when you finish mixing them up, lay them out in a row on the table.
Okay.
And you done that? And one more thing I want you to do. I'll turn away, and I want you to just mix the order up again, just in case you think I've done something, which I haven't. Are we done?
Yeah. Cool. That'll do.
So I know that one of these is your King of Hearts, but I don't know which one.
Yeah.
Stick out with your left hand, stick out a finger of your choice. Thanks for being nice.
It was tempting.
Do the same thing with the right finger. Do the same thing. Now, push 2 cards towards me. Any 2? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Perfect. And so that leaves us with 2 cards. You're going to make one more decision. You're going to pick one of them up and put it face down in my hand when I snap my fingers. You sure?
Yeah.
Positive?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you made all the decisions. Think about this. You mixed the cards up. You picked any card. You picked a King of Hearts. No one made you pick a King of Hearts. You then mixed the cards up under the table. Then I looked away and you mixed them up again while they're on the table. Then you made all the decisions as to which card we'd end up with, and it's this one right here. If you found out the King of Hearts yourself, would that be good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool, right? We're going to be honest with you, you had no choice. The only choice you had was the King of Hearts. Do you know why? You didn't have a choice of any of the other 3 kings. You didn't have a choice of this card. You didn't have a choice of this card, or this card, or this card. You didn't have a choice of this card, this card, this card, this card, or this card, or even this card. Because you see, if you'd have named any other card in the pack, like literally any other card, you would have ended up with nothing but a blank card. Because all we have here is a blizzard of whites. And the only card in this deck that is printed, other than the 6 of diamonds, which is weird and has got nothing to do with the trick. You can blame Matt for that. I did a Matt test before I did it on you, and he named the six of diamonds. So Matt is still thinking of his card, and that's why the six of diamonds has magically appeared here. But the only card other than the six of diamonds is the card that you named, the King of Hearts, which is still incredibly impressive.
Well, yeah, that's still. It could have been only 2 out of 2.
Yeah,
So
could have been 2 out of
that's
52.
still quite good.
But you know, I'm going to put the 6 about halfway. Is that about halfway down? About halfway. By the way, anybody watching this is called winging it. Can you do me a favour and snap your fingers just like that and make the most magical noise that you can? Wonderful. And then hopefully that will stop Matt thinking of that card, and now even that card will go and you'll be left with just a pack of blank cards and nothing else. You can examine everything. Okay, so that's Blizzard by Dean Dill. Now, in essence, what we have here is a deck of cards becoming completely blank. But the advantage with Blizzard, and the big thing about Blizzard, is the entire deck is examinable at the end. So at the end, technically at the beginning as well, but at the end, there is only one blank card in the deck, and the only blank card in the deck is the card that they name. Now, when you saw the performance there, you noticed that a 6 of diamonds showed up. That was my stupidity. It was because I'd done another video with this deck previously before I showed it to Michael for a future video, and I forgot to reset, and I didn't want to take it again because I didn't want to fake the reactions. You know, I didn't want to go, right, Michael, I'm going to do it again, but you know, can you remember how you felt the first time? I didn't want to do that. So I'm very sorry I left that 6 of diamonds in there. That was just a mistake with me not resetting the trick. But in essence, you would not have that card there. There wouldn't be a 6 of diamonds there. And I tried to cover it at the end as best as I could. But to be honest, even then, it's not really too much of an issue. But what you have here is you have a deck of cards turning completely blank. That's what we have. Now, the method is what I would categorize as easy, as in there's really no sleight of hand, and the built-in misdirection is phenomenal. Like, you could literally load an elephant into the room in terms of when you're actually doing the move. There's not really any sleight of hand, but it is going to take some not even audience management. I'm going to say it's going to take some balls. And it's not, because I've done Blizzard for years and years and years, and it's a very easy thing to do. But if you've never done anything like what this routine requires you to do, the first time you look at it and you watch the tutorial, you're going to be like, really? 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 And I kind of, the best way to describe it is a little bit like card in the box. Card in the box is not a difficult trick to do at all. Because basically all that's happening is you're just putting a card under a box, or you're putting a deck under a box. It's not a difficult thing to do at all. There's no sleight to it. It's not like you're shooting the card under the box. Well, you do if you're somebody like Daniel Garcia or Wayne Fox. But if you do it the way I do it, you're not shooting the card under a box. You're just putting the card under the box, right? Now, although the first time you try to do card in the box, you're convinced that it's not going to work. You're thinking, right, this is not going to happen. Everyone's going to catch me putting that card underneath that box. And it's the same with any type of misdirection type thing where you're doing something openly in front of an audience. If you've never done it before, it can be a worrisome moment, right? I remember feeling the same way the first time I learned Tommy Wonder's Cups and Balls routine. Hang on a minute, you want me to put a bag under a cup in full view of the audience and you're expecting me to believe they're not going to notice that? What? But they don't, right? They just don't. So the move itself, there's one move in the routine. It's a very easy move to do, but it will take a little bit of sort of practice doing it in the real world before you realise that this is not an easy move to, not a difficult move to do. It's an easy move to get away with. It's absolutely fine. And as I say, the built-in misdirection is brilliant. Now, in terms of the quality of the props, you get the blank deck, and you also get the gimmick. Now, anybody who knows Blizzard from the old days and had the old Blizzard that came with some printed out instructions, that gimmick was fragile. Without giving away what the gimmick was, it was fragile, and it was very possible that through continued use of that gimmick, it would eventually wear down and break. This is not the case with this gimmick. They have completely redesigned it. It is made out of a different type of material. And as far as I can see looking at it, it's probably going to last a lifetime. So in terms of the actual quality of the props, the quality of the props are second to none. The tutorial is really good as well. Penguin have gone above and beyond with the tutorial. So first of all, you have the actual routine performed and explained by the guys at Penguin. They do an amazing job. Multiple live performances. But then it cuts to a brilliant performance of Blizzard by Dill in his shop. If you don't know Dill, before he passed away, he owned a barber shop in Los Angeles that was also a magic shop, and it was like the mecca for a lot of people that used to travel there to meet Dean and get their hair cut a lot of the time. So there's a performance on this video, performance of Dean performing it in his barbershop. But then, as well as the performance, you've also got a sit-down interview with Cosmo. Now, I've always been a big fan of Cosmo, and Cos interviews Dean Dill, and Dean talks about everything. It's a great bonus to put on the tutorial. And to be honest, it was one of my favourite parts of the tutorial. Really, really good. Talks about absolutely everything. Then after that, there's a bunch of other bonus handlings in terms of how you can do the trick in a totally different way. They've got Magic Belay, who is, for my money, one of the best and funniest and most talented magicians on the planet. And he goes through with a fine-tooth comb his personal handling of Blizzard, which is a different method to the method that you would know. The method that you would know that requires the use of the gimmick to do the thing, if you know what I'm talking about. This is a totally different way of doing it, and it's a very clever method. It's a very clever way of doing it, and it's an actual valid method. And there are times where that would work better than Dean Dill's. I think Dean Dill's ultimately, in the right environment, is the best way to go with this. But Magic Belay has a fantastic handling that would work really well in other environments where maybe there's a lot more going on, without giving too much away. Look, ultimately, Blizzard is incredible. I've done it for like 15 years. It's been in my parlor show. It's been in my table set, on and off throughout the years, and this is the best version of Blizzard I've ever seen. The packaging is exceptional, the gimmick is exceptional, the tutorial is exceptional, and you can tell that Penguin have gone above and beyond to pay respect to Dean Dill and the man who created, in my opinion, one of the best blank deck tricks in the world. So yeah, I mean, if you don't own Blizzard, or maybe you owned it before and you want to see all the updated handlings, honestly, if you already know Blizzard, it's worth getting it for the gimmick and for Magic Belay's handling and for the interview. But, you know, if you've never seen Blizzard at all, you really need to get this. This is an incredible trick. I'm going to give it 100%. It's highly recommended. It's probably my favourite trick of all of the Black Friday releases that Penguin put out. Let's move on to the next trick. Okay, so the next trick is called Diabolical Bet, and it's by Nicholas Lawrence. And I should tell you that I'm a big Nicholas Lawrence fan. I think that he's a very clever creator. I think he comes up with very innovative, clever solutions to tricks. And I think he's probably, you know, this generation's Paul Harris, really. He's just so good. So good, he really is. I need to tell you this because really I don't like this trick very much. I'm not a fan for a few different reasons. Now, it's not terrible, but it's really just not for me. And before I go any further, I'm going to show you a performance so we're on the same wavelength when it comes to talking about this trick. So let's have a performance. Let's have a look at a performance of Diabolical Bet. And then when we've done that, I'll tell you what I think about it.
Cool. So I've got a couple of things here. I've got a couple of playing cards. I have a King of Clubs and a King of Spades. So we have two kings. We're going to get back to those later on. We'll put them there. I also have a die, or a dice, or a die if we want to be grammatically correct. And also I have a shot glass. And that's all I need to perform this minor miracle for you. I just need two playing cards. I need a die, and I need a shot glass. Now the idea is I'm going to balance the die right there on top of the two cards. And I'm just going to put it there. I'm going to create a little sandwich, the die being the filling in between the two cards. Are you ready? Nothing in my hands. nothing up my sleeves. Please notice that my fingers will never leave my hands at any point. And all I have to do is this. And just like that, I can actually push it right through the card. Now, there's a rule in magic, Michael, never repeat the trick. I'm going to do it for you one more time.
Okay.
Are you ready? But this time you're going to do the magic yourself. So once again, please make sure I don't cheat. I'm going to put the die right there. It goes right there. And the card goes on top. Now this time you're going to do it yourself. Put your hand here. I want you to commit yourself. On 3, you're going to come down. Don't be wimpy about it.
Okay.
You're going to go kaboom. Are you ready? Are you ready for the kaboom?
Yeah.
You got a kaboom.
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 We need a kaboom on 3. 1, 2, 3. Have you done it? Lift up your hand. Could it be? Oh my gosh. Look at that, Michael, right there. The die has gone through the 2 cards. It's a miracle, really. And there's the cards, there's the thing. You can examine everything.
Okay, so that's Diabolical Bet. And I showed this Ryland, even though he's not reviewing it. I showed it Ryland, and I was like, what do you think of that? And he said, well, it's diabolical, really, isn't it? Or despicable, I can't remember what he said. He really didn't like it. This is one of the only tricks that I've shown Michael in my office, and Michael wasn't too keen on it either. Now, maybe it was the way I did it, and maybe I don't have faith in it, I don't know. But let me, you've seen the trick, you know exactly what it is. So it's 2 cards, and the dice is placed in between the 2 cards, and it goes through the card into the shot glass twice. First time it goes through, second time the spectator knocks it through. There is a bonus part to this, and with the bonus part, you get the material if you want to have a kicker finish where you say, look, let me explain how it works, and you show one of the cards has got a hole in it, and then you peel the hole off. So that's like a little bonus thing that you can add to the end of it, which is quite nice. But what you just saw is the main routine. Now, there's a few problems with this, and the first problem is I think it's very overpriced for what you've got here. Because basically, you've got an ungimmicked shot glass, you've got 2 cards that are gimmicked, and I say gimmicked, you could make them yourself in about 15 seconds. One of the problems is the gimmick is going to wear out relatively quickly, but Nicholas talks to you about how to make more because it's not a difficult thing to do. And then you've got a dice, or a die, which Nicholas spends a bit of time on, talking about how this is a special die and it's specific for this trick. And in a way it is, but in all honesty, you could very easily find a substitute die that would do exactly the same thing. Not a problem at all. So it's very expensive for what you've got. Now, I understand that you're paying for the secret, right? You're paying for Nicholas's time creating the trick. And Nicholas and Penguin can sell this for whatever they want. And it's up to us as consumers to buy it. And I do agree with that. However, I just think this is a very obvious trick. The cards can't be examined at the beginning. Because you're already in a situation where you have a gimmick in play. And the gimmick's kind of hiding in plain sight, but you do have that gimmick in play. Now, could you switch the gimmick in some way? I suppose you could if you wanted to. Maybe, it doesn't really discuss that on the tutorial, but I suppose there's a way of doing that. But you want to have the gimmick kind of in play at the beginning, really. And then you have the moment where the dice goes through the first time. And first of all, I've studied this. I haven't just done this. I had these a few weeks ago, and I've been playing around with these tricks, right? First of all, I've played around with the moment where the dice is on the card, and it's fairly obvious what's going on. I mean, it's very difficult to make it look absolutely perfect from every angle. It's just kind of a bit not good. I don't know how to describe it, but Michael picked up on that as well, and he doesn't really watch much magic, really. But he was like, that just doesn't look good. And again, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just performing it badly. But even if it looked great, when you do that and the dice goes through the card, the first thing that the spectator is going to think has happened is the method. You know, like spectators try to come up with solutions to tricks, and they go, oh, I think this is it. And you vanish a coin, it's gone up your sleeve, and a lot of the time you can prove you're wrong, you roll your sleeves up, whatever it may be. With this they're completely 100% correct. The method that they are going to come up with is correct. Now the problem is when you've pushed that dice into the cup, according to Nicholas, you've got to do it again then. Well, you don't have to, but I mean that's the routine he's put together. You do it again. So you've just put this dice through this card. You can't really have the cards examined, right? So you don't want to have the shot glass examined and the dice examined, but not have the cards examined. So you can't really have it examined at the beginning. So people haven't examined the props. Was my way a lot of the time to get around examinability issues is to have them examined at the beginning. And then at that point go, now think about this, you can't do that. So you just put this through. The method that they're thinking of probably is actually what's happening. And now you've got to go, well, let me do that again for you. And now you're going to do exactly the same thing again. But this time they're going to put their hand on top. But in order to do that, you've got to set it back up again. And they're going to be watching more carefully, knowing what the trick is and having an idea of the method. And the second time, they're going to be watching even more carefully. And then you've got that second moment where you push the dice through. And sometimes if you're not careful, that can go wrong. I've had it go wrong a couple of times and I've been trialing this out because you can't control how the spectator pushes their hand down. And then after you've done the second penetration, you have to switch. You have to basically switch one of the cards because one's gimmicked and one's ungimmicked. You have to switch one of the cards. And for me, this is precisely the wrong time to switch a card. You've just had this moment. Everybody is focusing on the cards. It's the cards that people are going to be thinking about, not the dice. It's going to be the cards. They've gone through the dice into a shot cup. The thing they're going to want to look at is the cards, then the dice, then maybe the cup. And you have to switch at that point. And he goes through a couple of different ways of switching the cards, but it's all done on heat. From a routining point of view, from a structure point of view, I really don't think he's nailed this very well. And then the method itself is low tech. I can think of about 5 or 6 different ways of actually achieving this in a much better way than what we have here. This is not a great way to achieve this effect. I mean, Penguin themselves have put better ways out of doing this. You know, look at Roller Coaster by Hansen Chen. That's a great way to do this sort of thing. Heck, if you want to have something go through something into a card box, I've got many different handlings on the NETRIX of taking a coin, taking a coin, putting a card box on top of a glass and just doing that and having it go through, and immediately everything's examinable. Because I do believe that at that point, you want it to be examinable. And there's a routine that I put on the NETRIX recently, which is a coin going through a pack of cards into a glass. Perhaps Michael can put the name of the trick up so you can search on YouTube for it, or maybe you can put a clip up or something. But with that version, the coin goes through the card box and then everything's examinable. And if you don't want to use sleight of hand, there's things like flight case. The point is, this is just a very low-tech method. It's almost like, you know, he talks about how he tried flaps and he tried this and he tried that, and then he went back to this. And okay, fine. This is the sort of thing, in all honesty, that I would have expected to see in Genie magazine. I opened up Genie magazine, and there's a trick there by Nicholas Lawrence, and it's like, get yourself a shot glass, get yourself a dice, get yourself a card, I'm going to teach you how to make this gimmick. And then you see it in the magazine, and you go, oh, that's quite good. Yeah, that's a nice idea. Don't know if I'd do it, but, you know, nice idea. And you'd see it in the magazine, and it's just it's not a product. It's not a £40-50 product. It's just not. It's weak compared to a lot of the stuff that Nicholas has put out over the years. A lot of the stuff Penguin's put out over the years. This is just a weak trick that just is over before it begins. There's a million different ways of doing it better, and I think it's a trick that would go in a magazine, or it's a download at best. Definitely not a £50 product or a £40 product, whatever it is. I think there's better tricks that Nicholas could bring out. He's one of the most creative magicians on the planet, and I'm fairly sure that he had better options when he decided to release this. It's getting 15%. There's nothing. It's overpriced in my opinion. It's a step backwards from a method point of view. It's not examinable. Just not really anything to like about it. Now, I might be wrong. I was speaking to Lloyd about this on the podcast, and he said, "Oh, I don't mind." He didn't know the method, but he liked the performance. And you got to give it to, you know, Nicholas, the performance footage. People are enjoying the trick, so maybe it is just me. But for me, I'm not too keen on this one. It's getting 15%. Okay, so next up we have Laced Up. Now, Laced Up is one of the biggest tricks of the year, in my opinion. This trick is absolutely amazing. I'm telling you this straight off the bat because there's not going to be a performance of this. The reason there's not going to be a performance of this is because I've had to buy myself a new pair of shoes. See, I want to do this. Having watched this, I wear trainers, and all of those trainers have got white laces, which is fine. But when I'm at gigs, I wear suit shoes, and I always wear slip-on. Always have. And I really want to do this at gigs. And so I've ordered myself a couple of pairs of normal shoes, and they haven't arrived yet. And I really wanted to get this review out because I'm sick of people constantly saying to me, when are you going to review Laced Up? So I'm getting the review out without a live performance. I'll talk to you all about it, but I'm going to do a mat test on this. So as soon as I've got my shoes and as soon as I've set up Laced Up, I will do a mat test on it and a live performance as well. But maybe even a review show revisited. But I can talk to you about it because I've watched the tutorial, I've played with the gimmicks, and this is exceptional. For those of you that don't know what the trick is, the idea is very simple. You have your shoes on and you borrow a spectator's ring, and you just link it onto the shoes. You take the ring and you go bonk and you link it onto the shoes. You then you take the ring and you pull it down. So it kind of, then there's a pseudo explanation of how it works, and you can take the bow, you know, when you tie your shoelaces as a bow, you can take the bow off and show it, and that looks just so weird. And then you can like move the bow down to the other end, and then you can take the it's trippy. I mean, to say the least, it's crazy. Now, the tutorial starts off with multiple live performances on the streets where you actually see this trick being performed over and over again, and you see the reactions. This is great. This is everyday carry at its best. You see the reactions, and then you watch the tutorial and you go, you know what? I was thinking this probably isn't going to be practical. Like, I remember when I got interlaced by Richard Sanders, and it's like, right, you got to gimmick your trousers. You got to gimmick your shoes. I was worried that one of two things would happen. A, it wouldn't be practical, or B, there'd be lighting issues when it came to the shoelaces and they'd be able to see what's going on. Neither of those are the case. There's no lighting issues to talk about at all, and it just looks amazing. When you gimmick them, it's going to probably take you about 15 minutes to gimmick up your shoes and put the gimmick laces in place. But when the gimmick laces are in place, it'll just go on your shoe. It'll just stay, your foot will go in it. It's not like you haven't tied your shoe. Your shoe will be tight. You'll be able to walk around all day. It's not going to affect the trick, but you're going to be set up ready to do this anytime, anywhere. So literally, this is kind of the ultimate everyday carry when you think about it, because you've got this set up on your shoes. Anytime you want to, you just borrow a ring, you go into this routine, and then you give them the ring back. I mean, that's the ultimate everyday carry when you think about it. And also, it's not a card trick. It's not a coin trick. It's something completely different that they haven't seen before. And that's one of the reasons I love about this. It's so visual, it's so unique, and it's so different. And it's a massive stark contrast to what you're seeing with like Diabolical Bet. You know, this is leaps ahead of the previous trick. It's relatively easy to do. There's not really any sleight of hand to speak of. It's relatively easy to do, and it looks amazing. I can't stress that enough. It looks so good. A lot of people are saying, is it as good as it looks? Is it as good? Yes, it is. This is 100% all kinds of awesome. I cannot wait to start performing this. This is going to be a big feature of my act, I think. In fact, excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold. In fact, I'm probably ordering myself another set because I want to have both shoes set up to this. So this for me isn't going to be, although I said it's the ultimate everyday carry, and it is, I won't set my trainers up or my everyday shoe wear up with this. I'm planning on just having this at gigs. This is going to be a gigging trick for me. This is going to be a trick that I do a lot at gigs. I do a lot of stuff with rings and ring and string and so on and so forth. I love the idea of doing a ring and string with a shoelace, doing that whole routine and saying, well, let me try one more thing. Instead of using this shoelace, let's use this shoelace. Watch this. Boom. Job done. Amazing. This is a serious contender for Trick of the Year. And it's very underground. There's not a massive thread on the cafe about it, and there really should be, because we wait a long time to see unique tricks like this. A lot of the stuff that comes out is another card trick, another coin trick, another card trick, another card trick. And this is something completely different. The props are really well made. The packaging is great. The tutorial is exceptional. Never heard of this guy before, and I hope to see more of him because he was very articulate in the tutorial. He went through everything with a fine-tooth comb. As you would imagine, it's typical Penguin quality. The live performances are great. He's an engaging performer. This is a fantastic trick. My hat is off to him and Penguin Magic. This gets 100%. It's really good. Okay, the last trick that I'm going to be looking at this week is Viewfinder by Mandy Hartley and Penguin Magic. Now, I know Mandy quite well, and she's great. She's fantastic. Every single time I've gone to Penguin and I've met her, she's been wonderful, and she is so hands-on. I remember the first time I met her, it was a little bit like I imagine it would be for a companion walking into the TARDIS. And what I mean by that is, like, the first time I walked into the P3 theatre, there were just wires everywhere. And her and Eric Tate were just like on ladders and underneath desks and moving massive stuff all over the place. And there's a huge, massive computer desk. And I kind of got the whole, okay, she's the doctor and Eric is the companion here. And I've actually just walked into the TARDIS. This is what's going on, right? This is where we are right now. Lovely person, absolutely lovely person, and also loves magic and deserves to have more people know about who she is. And Viewfinder, I'm going to tell you right now, I love Viewfinder. There's a major issue with it, one major issue that I'm going to give you a fix to. Excuse me, but there is one major issue, an issue that I consider to be a fairly major issue. But in terms of a routine, I'm telling you right now, this is incredible. In fact, I'm actually ordering a second one. I'll tell you why in a bit. This is really good. Let me first of all show you a performance of it, and then after I've shown you the performance, we'll talk about what I think.
Michael. How you doing, Michael? You ever seen one of these before?
Yeah, as a kid.
Had one of these as a kid, right? And what I have is these go in it, yes?
Yeah.
And each one's different. There's tons of them. But this particular one has got famous landmarks from around the world. Okay. So if you pop it in there, excuse me, and just have a look through the viewfinder, and you'll see that there's a whole bunch of images.
It's upside down.
Oh, right, turn it around. It's okay. It's my fault, there's no picture. Pop it in there, you'll see there's a whole bunch of images, and if you flick through by putting the thing down, you'll see there's a whole bunch of images, and each image actually has what that landmark is, written in text as well. So you've got the landmark, and you've got what the name of the place is. And if you flick through, you'll see there's a whole bunch of them. Is that right?
Yeah.
Cool. So flick through, and you'll see there's a whole bunch of them, and when you see one that you like, stop and let me know that you've got one. You can take your time, you can go back and forth. You've got one.
Yeah, I've got one I like.
So it's difficult for me. I'm going to try and extract the information out of your head.
Okay.
It's difficult for me to work with images. It's easier to work with words and letters. So for now, just think of what the actual thing is called. So if you're thinking of Big Ben, for example, you'd think of the words Big Ben. You wouldn't think of you wouldn't think of an image of a clock. We're going to get to that later on. So imagine you in front of you, and if you forget, you can look through the viewfinder. Imagine in front of you, there's that image, those words are there. I don't know if there's one word or two words or three words or four words. It very much depends. Yeah. Have a look over all of the words in your head. Look at all the letters. There's an O, isn't there? I see an O.
Yes.
Yeah, there's definitely an O. There's also an S, isn't there?
Yes.
There's an S. There's a T. There's definitely a T.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You're starting to get freaked out by this. Think about this. You could have thought of anything. You could have gone anywhere. You could have changed your mind back and forth. It's your choice. The only person who can see this is you. I know there's no an S or T. There's an N as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's starting to get weird, isn't it? And also there's a H.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's an M.
An M?
M for Mike.
No.
There's not an M.
No.
At the end, an M. The last letter. No, it's not an M. You were in your head. You took the letter and you turned it. It's an E. It's an E, isn't it? It's an E, but you turned it and made it an M in your head. It's okay. It's your fault. It's fine. There's an E at the end, and there's an S. The S that I told you about is at the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I said you flicked through and you saw all of them. Some of them have like multiple words, like there's the Great Wall of China, which is 4 words, and there's the Great Pyramid, which is 2 words. But you actually thought of something with 1 word, didn't you? This is actually somewhere, think of the actual thing, the image. This is somewhere you've actually been to, isn't it? Or you've been near here.
Yeah.
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 Is it somewhere you've been to, actually gone and visited, or is it something you've been meaning to at one point?
I've been near it.
You've been near it?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is somewhere in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere very iconic.
Yeah.
You could have thought of anything. You didn't write it down. You didn't tell anyone. You're thinking of Stonehenge.
Yeah.
There you go.
What the hell?
Okay, I love that. I seriously love that. I think for stage, this would be brilliant. I love the hook of having a viewfinder and bringing the viewfinder out and saying, hey, do you remember these? As soon as you bring this out in a cabaret show, everybody is going to know what this is. You see a few live performances with this on the project, including Nick Lacopa, who does a live performance on stage, and he's got a pad and he's writing stuff down on the pad. It's just exceptional. It really is. And I thought the method was like something like count the clicks or something. Nothing to do with that. You could be in another room. You could give them the viewfinder, have them put the thing in themselves, flick through the images, pick one, put the viewfinder away in a box, and then you could come back into the room and you would still be able to do the trick. Like, it's that clean. Now, let me first of all talk about the big negative. Well, first of all, it's a negative that I thought would be a positive. So, I do Nostalgia, which we reviewed, myself and Ryan reviewed it. We've got two of them. Ryan does it, and I do it as well, by Michel Huit, who is an incredible performer. And he brought that out with Murphy's earlier this year, and it's great. And it was like, I think $100 or $200. It was not cheap. Then this came out, and I'm like, man, this is $40. This is so much cheaper. Wow, I can't believe that they're managing to do it at this price. This is great. And then when I got it, I watched the tutorial, and I was so excited because Nick was explaining everything, and I was watching the live performances, and I'm like, man, this is good. This is right up my street. This is amazing. And then I started to play around with the props, and therein becomes the issue, because it's $40, and I think they've found a really cheap viewfinder that doesn't really work very well, or at least mine didn't. I put the thing in, and you press the button down, and it flicks it to the next photo. It wasn't working. It didn't flick over. It was staying there, and I'm like, did I do anything wrong? I handed it to every single person in the office, and I was like, can you make this work? None of them could make it work. And excuse me, and I've read online that other people have had problems with the viewfinders as well. I don't know if there's a bad batch or something, but I definitely had problems with my viewfinder. It wasn't working very well, and whatever I did didn't make it work. Now, my fix to that was to use the viewfinder I got from Nostalgia, because the gimmick here is the thing that you put in, is the photo thing. It's not the actual viewfinder. The viewfinder is ungimmicked. Just like with Nostalgia, the viewfinder is ungimmicked. So I was like, can I put it in Nostalgia viewfinder? Yes, you can. Brilliant. And then it works perfectly every single time. And I think because maybe the one that comes with Nostalgia is a more expensive model that works better, which is why there's an increase in price. If you haven't got Nostalgia, I have done a search on Amazon and eBay, and you can get viewfinders very cheaply or quite inexpensively. So if there is an issue, first of all, it might be a bad batch, so contact Penguin if you have an issue with your viewfinder. But I'm not going to bother because I've just started using the Nostalgia one. But the other option is to just go and get another viewfinder. They're not very expensive at all, and the trick will work as played. So that's your major negative. In terms of the positive, the method is just clever as hell. And it really is as clean as you just saw. You just let them look at any country, and then you just keep telling them, yeah, and you just tell them what it is. There's no force. It's a different outcome every single time. You could carry this around with you in a close-up job if you wanted to, and you could do it at every single table, have people think of a different thing every single time, and you're always going to be 100% correct. There's no fishing for it at all. Excuse me. There's no multiple outs. There's nothing like that. It's just a really clever method to do this trick, and it is a really clever method. But what excites me the most is doing this with Nostalgia. So in other words, I plan on doing this as a full stage piece, starting off bringing out the viewfinder, bringing out a load of discs, just handing them one and going, oh, this has got landmarks on it. Do me a favor, put it in there, flick through. If you got one, fantastic. Do the real viewer and do that. and get that right, and then say, well, let's try another one. Pick another disc. This one, okay, put that in, flick through a few times. Can you see something? And then do nostalgia as a follow-up piece. And I think the two of them work together really well because the two methods cancel each other out, which is just great. Nostalgia, however, you couldn't really do walk around. Whilst this, if you wanted to carry it around with you, you could do walk around. One of these will fit into a jacket pocket. Or when I'm at close-up jobs and I want to do something that requires a bit of bulk, I'll go to like the DJ booth or the bar or somewhere or an area out the way, and I'll say, do me a favor, can I just leave this here and I'm going to come back for it if I need it. Then when I'm doing tables, I'm doing groups. If I find a group that really is into it and they want to see more mind reading or something, and I think this would be perfect to go, I'm going to show you one more thing. I've got something over there. You can just go and grab it. Perfect. Have you ever seen one of these as a kid? It's a viewfinder. Let me show you something. Have a look at this. I've got a disc here. There's a whole bunch of landmarks on it. I plan on doing this walk around. I think it's a walk around piece. This is great. Really great. In fact, I might actually give this or lend this or give it to Matt and have him do it, because I think what I'm learning for the Matchumentary is he's kind of gravitating towards mentalism, and I want to kind of encourage that. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to be going through with him that's kind of mentalism based. Having said all of that, this is wicked. This is brilliant. There are issues in terms of quality control, and you just need to bear that in mind. But if you can get past that, this is one of the. This is just a really good trick with a really solid method and really nice hook. And there's nothing difficult. Yeah, you need to memorize a little bit of stuff. I memorized it in about 10 minutes. There's a really cool mnemonic. You don't have to memorize much. There's a little bit you have to memorize. Having said that, they give you a really cool crib that you can have. So if you don't want to memorize it, you don't have to. I've already memorized it. But yeah, I'm going to give this 89%. Now, would have got much higher, but we have the quality control issues that we need to take into consideration. So it gets 89%, but it's recommended. I'm going to do it, Ryland's going to do it, and I think I'm going to get Matt to do it as well. This is a worker. So there you go, guys. That is another review show special in the bag. Do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. You want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, please don't forget to join the NETRIX. It's www.thenetrix.com. That's www.thenetrix.com. You can get access immediately and see what the fuss is about. We're just uploaded 5 tricks. We're about to upload another 5. Lots going on right here on Magic TV. But thank you once again for watching. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.